Hi friends, a lot of drama, excitement going on in the stock markets. Well, along with the excitement, a lot of people actually being in pain as well because of Adani group of companies and also the research coming out from Hindenburg Financial Research Company. Well, Hindenburg Financial Research Company is a very less known company among a lot of us. A lot of investors haven't heard of Hindenburg Financial Research Company. Even me, as a matter of fact, I have been hearing it for the first time. Adani group of companies, a matter of fact, popular amongst in India as well as in the globe. In the globe because Adani, Mr. Gautam Adani, was the third richest person in the world at a particular point of time, almost very close to Jeff Bezos. Well, do you think it's a result of some jealousy with Jeff Bezos? Not sure, but just to make the video lighter, you can keep an open mind and see further what are the various acquisitions which Hindenburg makes on Adani Group of Company and what Adani Group of Companies have to say about the Hindenburg research. And then finally, my own analysis with respect to Adani Group of Companies. So now, the first thing first, look into the Hindenburg Research Company, which is a very less known company. Let's get to know a little more about it. So Hindenburg Financial Research Company is actually owned by or was founded by a person called as Nathan Anderson. Easy for Matrix. He's giving a Matrix view to the financial markets now. Okay, I'm sure he must be very tough to fight against one of the richest companies and one of the richest person, not only in India but in the globe as well, right? So why is it that they have so much muscle? Why is Hindenburg not afraid to take on Adani group of companies? So let's try to understand a little bit more other than just knowing the owner of Hindenburg Financial Research Company. The word Hindenburg actually comes from a spaceship. There was a spaceship by name Hindenburg. Back in 1937, this spaceship actually met with an accident. And that accident was thought to be a man-made accident. So Nathan Anderson, who is the founder of Hindenburg Financial Research Company, has a motive to avoid financial crisis in the financial market by uncovering these corporate flaws in few organizations which are gross, which are very huge in nature, that might cause a financial distress to a lot of investors. By uncovering this fraud, they can avoid investors, giving loans to such companies or even certain third-party institutions providing loans to this company, which has actually happened after the Hindenburg research was actually published. A lot of other two companies, which was actually Credit Suisse and Citibank later, have denied providing further loans to Adani group of companies upon probably hearing about Hindenburg research. So why does Hindenburg research get so much of value? Well, that takes us to the historical past of Hindenburg. The historical past shows that Hindenburg Financial Research Company have actually accused almost close to 30 companies since 2017. And every acquisition almost proved to be, I say almost because I have only researched on a couple of them, like Nikola and China Metals, and both these acquisitions seem to be true. A lot of the promoters actually had to step down from from the company, and because the financial reports were true, that resulted in the downside of those particular stock. And Hindenburg is openly also claiming that by after publishing their report, they also short sell into those respective companies so that they can make profits. Now, what is short selling? Ideally, we buy a stock at a low price with the expectation that they rise in the future, and that is how we make profit. So the maximum loss is that they don't rise and they come back to zero, so the maximum loss is actually zero. But in short selling case, you actually bet against the downside of the company, and the downside is unlimited. So you invest thinking that the company would actually go downwards. But in the downward journey, when you invest some particular amount, you could actually go into negative side of the balance sheet as well. You could incur major losses. So Hindenburg's research cannot fully be denied, because if they're wrong, they actually suffer the major loss. And if they're right, Adani suffers a major hindrance in the corporate history. So, having known about Hindenburg's past, The acquisition on Adani group of companies is mainly on three categories. One is the promoter group is been involved in a lot of scams and fraud in the past as well, and even today they have been involved into major money laundering and opening of shell companies and stock manipulations, etc. So this is one of the major acquisition of Hindenburg. And then the second acquisition is some of the lot of flaws in the corporate structure, the governance or the shareholding structure as well. Some of the companies of Adani Group, they claim that their shareholding is exceeding 75%, wherein the Indian laws or the SEBI laws state that a listed Indian company should have 25% or more free float, so that public ownership should be there more than 25%. The other 70 or 75% can be of promoter stakeholding. I have also checked a few of them. Some of them, one of them I have checked, which is Adani Wilmar, and it has a shareholding more than 75% with it related to promoter stake. So that gives us a question where how stringent is the rules and regulation? Are there any checks which can be put in place? I know that there are checks being put in place, but how stringent in that? Because by not following the rules, and it's not a new rule, it's a very old rule that 25% and more has to be public holding, and by not meeting that norm is actually going to be delisting of the company. Well, that has not happened. So that gives us a question in the Hindenburg report that pointing out to that particular flaw of the shareholding. And then the third is a lot of other acquisitions as well. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail of every acquisition, but there's a detailed acquisition. When you go to the website of Hindenburg, you can Google it, you will find the website, and the topmost is actually the Adani Group. And the topmost article on Adani Group, a lot of detailed facts about each and every acquisition that it has actually made. And it's now waiting for a response for his 88 questionnaire from the Adani Group. So now let's look into the Adani Group of companies. Adani Group of companies have 7 listed companies on the stock exchange. One of them is Adani Enterprises, which focuses on coal mining and trading. The second is focuses on green energy, renewable energy. And the third, Adani Total Gas. Adani Total Gas focuses on gas distribution amongst households in a city or a state. And then you have Adani Power, which focuses on power generation. And then you have transmission of the power to all the various households within the city or the state. And then you have eatables and personal care company, that is Adani Wilmar. This is in association with Wilmar from Switzerland. So, and the last you have Adani Ports, which makes it business to the ports, to all the cargo coming from various ships and all the exchange of goods which happens at the port. That is how they make money at the ports. So that is with respect to Adani Port. These were the 7 listed companies from the Adani groups. So these companies have in the recent past taken a lot of leverage. That means a lot of debt has been taken so that they can capitalize on this debt and then grow, expand the business. That major focus is actually expansion of the business. So nevertheless, if debt is taken too much hurry without realizing the cash profit, we have questions being investors, right? Are they certain enough that cash flow will increase significantly going ahead? That is something to be watched about. We don't know. Adani, Mr. Gautam Adani may be a master businessman, having a very strong belief in his business acumen. That is the reason why he might be taking a lot of debt and giving his own shares, that is pledging his own shares to take loans so that he can sustain the growth of the company. Well, we don't know what is actually going on into Adani's mind, being it a family business. Probably he has not shared his vision or mission statements quite in detail, but we can have an open view of Adani group of companies having said that. But from my perspective, being in heavy debt in a short period of time gives an investor jitters, because we don't know the future when it takes a lot of debt. So that is the reason why a lot of investors should be a little bit cautious when investing into heavily debt-oriented companies. Well, not only about Adani Group, but there could be many other companies out there in the stock exchanges which have not been a focus in Hindenburg financial research which are out there, lying there, and people still investing, buying them without knowing the debt and the leverage these companies might be having. And eventually one day it will come out and the stock will dip when it comes to a recession or something like that. So the investors need to be a little bit cautious. So I'm not saying that Adani may be doing something wrong or things like that, but Hindenburg financial research should not be considered a pinch of salt as well. There may be some truth. We need to have an open mind on both the aspects, Adani Group as well as Hindenburg. So Adani Group has responded to Hindenburg research, but nevertheless Hindenburg is not that fine with their response because it was very generic in nature. Their response was more like towards that Hindenburg is targeting the nation, that is India, wherein Hindenburg, in response to Adani's response, have said that they are quite confident on India's growth being a superpower in the future. So they have a good faith on India as a nation. So they're saying that covering up with India, that they are targeting India as a nation, is a covering up of the fact of their acquisition. So they're expecting a more detailed response of every acquisition via the 88 questionnaire which Hindenburg Financial Research Company has actually given to the Adani Group. So let's see what further comes up with from the Adani Group of companies. And I know a lot of activities going on with SEBI and the RBI asking the banks to see what are the exposure of loans. Well, that is one aspect, but there could be various other loopholes through which the loans might have been actually taken. We don't know. And then when it comes to SEBI, we need to see what SEBI has to say going forward, right? So I know that SEBI has probably already investigating, because in one of the acquisition of Hindenburg Financial Research, they had actually approached SEBI, and SEBI was actually undergoing an investigation of Adani Group of companies in the past 6 months or maybe I think 1.5 years, if I am able to recollect it right from the Hindenburg Financial Research. But nevertheless, you can have a look at it. The link of Hindenburg company is shared in the comment section if you want to have a quick look at Hindenburg as a company, wanting to know what are the acquisitions it has placed on Adani Group of companies, and also knowing about Hindenburg, about us, about Hindenburg. Now, the third part of this particular video was actually trying to understand the valuation of Adani Group of companies. Well, let's not talk about my valuation of Adani Group of company, but there has been a recent video by Aswad Damodaran, who is a professor on valuation aspect. He was giving an interview to Motilal Oswal. There's a video as well on that. You can just YouTube search and you will find it. And he states that there is still more downside remaining on Adani Group of companies. Well, you can do your own analysis on valuation and don't have less belief on your valuation. That's what I want to say. Have faith in your valuation rather than just looking at a 55% downside, because a lot of time 55% downside may just be bringing it to a level where it actually, is saying, okay, there is still more time for it to actually come to a level which justifies its price based on the accounting statements. So that's all I have to say in this particular session. And if you have liked this video, please share, subscribe, and I'm going to come up with a lot of other videos in subsequent weeks. So let's stay tuned to the Adani news as well as Hindenburg news. It's something to be watched, but need not waste too much time on it, because there are a lot of companies out there where you can do your research and even gain from them by having less risk by investing into those companies. Just do not go across tips. Just do not go by somebody else's statements, but do your own analysis. But you have to know how to do the analysis. For that, you need a mentor. And by approaching a mentor, how to do the analysis, then you can do your own analysis and own decisions. You can take your own decision to invest into the stock market. This is the beauty of stock market investing. You did not listen to anybody. You can take your own decision, unlike, your boss telling you anything. You're your own boss. You can be your own boss if you know how to do your financial analysis.